You're sabotaging yourself like an NPC. You might ask, well, what do you mean you're sabotaging yourself? Well, ask yourself this. Who's your biggest enemy? Like, if you had to sit down and actually consider it and figure out who's your biggest rival, what name would pop up in your head? If you, especially in Finland, if you were to go out on a street and ask people that question, they'd probably say something along the lines of Russia. Now, but then it's like, well, okay, so your biggest problem is Russia, but you're not in a war with them right now. And you're fat, and you're lazy, and you don't like yourself. Maybe you got kids, maybe you don't. Maybe you got a wife, does she even like you? In that context, is your biggest problem still Russia? Is that the biggest enemy? Well, of course not. It's bloody isn't. As an it's well, if Russia isn't the biggest enemy, and I'm not saying like this to be political, but like even like, especially in Finland, like people will criticize Trump 24/7, which is, if you ask me, a bit ridiculous because you're spending your time thinking about the motherfucker that doesn't give a shit about you, which is, you know, because you're not gonna get anything back. So that's what you would call a pendulum, but that's a whole different video, that's a whole different topic about how things capture your attention and just aggravate and build conflict. I'll talk about that another time. But I say all of this because your problems aren't in the outside world. Your problem isn't Trump. Your problem isn't Biden. It doesn't fucking matter. Even when people fought against Napoleon, the problem isn't Napoleon. Okay? The problem is your own fucking army. It's not the outside that's the problem, it's the inside. It's like there is no external threat. It's not another country, it's not another person, it's not like you look at Finland and you look at the job market, which in Finland is quite shit. So it's like 10% unemployment or more. It's really damn hard to get. Kind of hard to get a job. People will blame that. People will say that that's the problem. That the job market is the problem. Well, is it though? Is it? If you had 200 years, like hypothetically, well, let's just say 50. If you got 50 years of experience in a certain field and you actually done really well, is the problem still the job market? Well, no. Of course not. You'd be retarded not to hire someone like that. And so, where that puts you is that the job market isn't the problem. But that's what people do, they attack the outside. Because it's really damn rough to look at yourself in the mirror and go, yeah, you know what, I'm fat. Like, because no one wants to do that. And so it's not Trump makes you fat. Like, even if you live in the US and you go, yeah, but there's a lot of calories in everything. Well, sure, but it's not the food. Like, it's physically not the food that makes you fat. Like, of course, you eat a certain amount of it. But the food isn't forcing you to eat it, is it? So it's not the food that's the problem. It's you that's the problem. It's literally always you. because had you the mental fortitude to not eat and become fat, well, you're gonna be fat. So actually eating isn't a problem, but it's straight up just your beliefs. And that's like one part of it is what level you're actually at, but the rougher part of it is the fact that you have beliefs. Like if you're not where you want to be in life, you have beliefs that are holding you back. And probably those beliefs are subconscious. So if you think the job market doesn't want to give you a job, well, what the world's gonna do is listen to you. Because the world actually listens, the world actually, give or take, does what you want it to do. If you think that the job market is hard, you will subconsciously act in ways to make that thought come true. So you'll essentially sell yourself out of a job so that you can be right. Like one common, extreme, well, not extremely common, but common thing nonetheless, is the way people look at rich people. So people go, yeah, but rich people are idiots. So of course you're not gonna make any money. Because you can't become what you don't wanna be. If in order for you to have money or be wealthy, you would act like a wealthy person, well, but that's not what you like. If you hate wealthy people, but you want money, ain't gonna get none, because your brain literally won't allow yourself to become that thing. And the problem is, it's not you get the money and then become a certain type of person. It's the other way around. You become the person who gets the money, then you get the money. So I did door-to-door sales. I did cold calling, selling electricity contracts. And for a long time, I didn't perform at the level that I wanted. And I was kind of, like for an extremely long time, I was perplexed by it in a sense of, well, I'm studying sales every damn day. Like even on the weekends, I'd be studying sales. Like I bought sales courses. I got like I've knocked on 1,000 doors. I've made 1,000 cold calls. Like why the fuck is it the case that I'm not making as many sales as I'd like to? And so not long ago I was reading this book that talked about beliefs and how to actually, I suppose, rewire yourself for success. And I'm reading this book, and up comes this idea of sabotaging yourself. So I'm kind of intrigued by it, and I keep reading. And specifically the concept of you can't become what you don't want to be dawns on me. So the same as with the rich thing. Now, I wasn't opposed to sales. It's not like I was doing sales, I was like, yeah, this sucks. No, it's more like, yeah, man, this is lit. I want to do sales. But what I've come to realize is that even though I like doing sales and talking to people, it's not that was the issue. The issue was a bit deeper than that. Because when I'd be at home and someone would knock on a door, I would never, not once, wanted to open a door, ever. Never wanted to open a door. And for a major part of my life, I used to hate when people call me. I mean, that was way back, and partially because I was insecure. Maybe because as a kid I wasn't that social, and so there was a lot of that. But I hate it when people call me. Now it's fine because it can be a job, whatever. Although if I'm doing a video, I'd kind of get pissed because I'd have to record again and whatnot. But nonetheless, and so in the light of that, when I actually sat down, I realized, wait a minute. So I don't like when people knock on the door, and I don't like when someone calls me. Well, but that was exactly what I was doing. Well, then how could I possibly make a lot of sales if that's how I view it? But that just highlights how deep the problem actually goes. Because you can like sales. You can want to be good at sales. You can get somewhat comfortable with cold calling and knocking on doors. But as long as you don't like when someone does that to you, well then you ain't gonna make that many sales, because deep down you'll have this thought of, well, fuck, I'd be annoyed if someone, like, even if it's someone happy, even if it's a G, I'd still be annoyed, because here I am trying to make this business work. I got shit to do, and then someone just calls me and just wants to take my time. Life, of course, that's not exactly what sales is, but if that's how you view it, then you can't push past that, because you literally have beliefs that are holding yourself down. And so, if you learn to associate something with negativity, so for example knocking on doors, like as a kid you were, I don't know, scared of it or some shit. If you don't treat that belief, then as an adult, you're gonna view knocking on doors a bit negatively. And that negativity in turn will stop you from making sales. Because even if you're hyped at the door, even if you like the product, subconsciously, you'll be at the door with your brain telling you, man, I'm glad I'm the one doing the knocking. I'm glad it's not my door that's being knocked on. And then your brain, in order for your identity to remain, will do everything it can to knock you down from making sales. It's like back in the day with running. I don't remember the exact stats. Maybe it was honestly I don't remember, like a sub X minute mile or some shit. The people were trying to run faster and faster all the time, but then they get to this one point where, probably like in the 1940s or 60s, some shit like that, people were going, yeah, you can't actually run faster, like it's probably not even possible. And so people try to break this record for an extremely long time, but they all fail. Until this one guy rolls up. Now, everyone before him had failed. But when he did it, he actually managed to break that record. Okay, so one guy breaks the record. See, like that happens. But here's the thing. Because that one guy broke the record, then all these other people started to manage to do it as well. So all of a sudden, this perception that people had that something wasn't doable collapsed. And then the floodgates open, and everyone starts doing it. And so that's what happens when you take away the limiting beliefs. So if you look at your life right now, chances are there are some beliefs that are not up to date, that aren't serving you, that are holding you back. And so you gotta find where you kind of, like in legal terms, where you have a conflict of interest. Like you actually gotta dig deep with it. Because what you might find, like let's say you're struggling to work hard, what you might find if you start digging deep into, well, why do I struggle with working hard? You'll find some sort of negative association with working hard. Maybe you had an uncle that got sick because he overworked. Maybe you see your parents struggle because they work too hard. And so if you've seen those things and you want to work harder, you want to really grind away at the business, but you at the same time have those beliefs, you might not know it consciously, but subconsciously, when you try to sit down and work, you're not going to be able to do it, because in the background there will be, hey man, like you remember this one guy that I knew that really struggled with it. And so you need to find those beliefs and you need to update them to thoughts that actually serve you. Now, it's not an easy task. Well, thinking about it as being difficult is, again, it's not beneficial. Although it's not an easy task, but definitely do everything you can to fix those beliefs. And that's kind of the process I'm in the middle of right now, with a lot of the way I'm thinking. And so I'll keep hammering on these videos, and I'll probably make one on how to actually tangibly change those beliefs, because right now I'm at the stage where it's more like identifying the beliefs, realizing that those beliefs that are sabotaging yourself exist. I mean, that's step one, to recognize the problem so that you can deal with it, right? And so I'll make another video about it later on how to actually deal with that. But for the time being, there is one book, and a book that specifically, well, there are multiple books kind of on this. One is Reality Transurfing by, don't remember who, but that whole book is about kind of how your beliefs affect how the world responds to you. But the book I would recommend, if you feel like you're self-sabotaging, if you feel like you're stuck and you kind of don't know why, it's probably because you have some limiting beliefs or some other beliefs that you haven't dug up that you're not aware of that really stop you from going all in and really working your ass off on what you want to do. And so that book is The Mountain Is You. I recommend getting that book. It's extremely eye-opening, because what you'll realize is those problems that you have, those beliefs that you didn't even realize were there, that are keeping you back. And so when you can deal with those, you'll be able to move forward. And so I highly recommend you pick up that book. And if you aren't reading right now, I highly recommend to get into reading. Get a reading device ideally. I mean, you want to make reading as easy as possible. Don't force it. Don't, like, my reading habit is, I read in the morning, but if I read one sentence, I count it as having read. So read because it's interesting, but don't, like, you don't have to push it. You don't have to set a massive target for it. And so get into reading, but also read The Mountain Is You, and really figure out what beliefs, what thoughts are holding you back that are kind of a conflict of interest, where you're trying to do X, but then you got this thought that at the same time is telling you that X is bad, and so now you struggle to do X. So really figure that shit out, and it's gonna allow you to move forward. massively. That's all I got for you today. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.